So there are some phones that I get access to early, which I am very excited about. This is one of those phones. I think it's fair to say that Samsung is the granddad of the foldables market. By that I mean they started it back in 2019, and until now they haven't done much with the design of their Z Fold series. And firstly, we do say Z in this country because I'm in the UK, we don't say Z. Let's just get over that straight away. But they haven't done a huge amount with what is basically quite a chunky foldable compared to some of the competition which have gone wider and thinner and lighter. Samsung have rigidly stuck by this design until now, because we have the Z Fold 7, and it's such a huge departure from this, massively so. And Samsung says they've fixed the things which people have been asking for. So for instance, the weight, the thinness, the size of the external display, the camera, lots of stuff to dig into here, and they have nailed some of it big time. And there's just a couple of things which, well, I'll come on to them later, but you're watching this video because either you're thinking about upgrading from one of these to one of these, or this could be your first ever foldable and you're thinking, should it be the Fold 7? I've had this for a week now, so I got this in Brooklyn. I went to Samsung Unpacked, brilliant event, fantastic city. I'm very jet lagged, but I've had this for a week now and I've got lots of thoughts. I think the first and the most obvious thing to do is to compare the Fold 7 against the Fold 6 and just see how far we've come, starting with that design, which is striking. If I place the Fold 7 on top of the Fold 6, you can see just how much thinner it is. When it's closed, it's 8.9 millimeters, and when it's open, it's 4.2 millimeters, which is basically just a little bit thicker than the USB-C port. You would not want this thing any thinner. It wouldn't be safe, basically. It's 24 grams lighter. It's also lighter than the S25 Ultra, which is interesting. And the front display is taller and wider. And the internal display, which is now 8 inches, is again taller and wider than the Fold 6. It also has the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, which offers some significant improvements over the Fold 6. 41% better AI, 38% better CPU, and 26% better GPU. You can also have up to 16 gig of RAM versus the 12 gig on the Fold 6. The camera has had a massive upgrade, which I'll come on to later. Some smaller things, so for instance, the Bluetooth is now 5.4 over 5.3. The battery is the same size, and there's no S Pen support, which has annoyed some people. It doesn't annoy me because I don't use the S Pen, but it's definitely worth mentioning. And the pricing is about the same. We'll put the pricing for the US and the UK down here. Samsung being Samsung, they do offer sometimes these kind of intro, early deals and stuff if you pre-order. So it's hard to get the pricing bang on at this stage, but it's roughly the same price, let's say that. Basically, I want to talk about the design a little bit more, the battery life, and the camera system, and then sum up who on earth should be buying this phone. Just a very quick word from today's sponsor, which is RoboForm. If you're still storing all of your passwords in your head, or worse still, you're using the same password for everything, you need a password manager. And RoboForm is the best and the most affordable password manager I've ever found. It works on Android, iOS, Windows, Mac. It syncs across all of your devices. It sets up passwords for you so you don't have to think about it. It logs you in automatically with one click, which is amazing. They've got a no breach history, which is all of the peace of mind you need. They've got 24/7 support. There's even an emergency access feature, so if the worst happens and you can't get into your passwords, but you need someone to, you'll have a designated person who can do that for you. It is the best password manager ever, and the most impressive thing is the deal we've got for you. It's unbelievable, guys. Click that link down below to find out more. Let's talk a bit more about this design. By the way, it comes in lots of different colors, not lots, a few different colors, including a mint green option, which is an online only. This is the hero color, it's their blue version, and it does smudge a little bit like every modern smartphone, but it looks so nice. Look at it. Look, it's just a beautiful and very, I think, premium looking device, which it absolutely is. That's very important. The thinness, let's tackle that, because I know a few of you are heading into the comments straight away and saying, we don't need it to be that thin. What's this obsession with thin tech? And I agree with you to a point. When it comes to foldable smartphones, which obviously open up like this and give you this great big display, when they're not being used like that, when they're like this, they need to be trouser and bag friendly. The Fold 6 isn't really. It's a bit too heavy, it's a bit too wide, it's a bit too chunky. You really know it's in your pocket, basically. This, you don't. This slips into your pocket like most thin phones. I know some people have compared this against the S25 Edge. I've not done that myself. Some people have, and they've said it's not that much thicker than the Edge, and the Edge is a very thin phone. So folded, this feels like a regular but thin phone, and that is such a feat of engineering when you bear in mind that we have that inside it. It's incredible. Equally, that front display, when it comes to foldables, there is a very fine balance between a front display which is too usable and not usable enough. And what I mean by that, for instance, the Pixel Fold, which I think is a fantastic phone, the front display is too usable to the point where you never open up the big one. You just don't have the need to go into it because that front display is so good. Then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is neatly demonstrated by the Fold 6 and the Fold 5 and the Fold 4, etc. It's just too narrow to the point where you do need to regularly open up this, great, but equally, for me personally, I struggle to get typing done and it just feels a bit too cramped. Some of the content is a bit like that. I think, and I'm going to go on record with this, I think Samsung has nailed it. This size screen for a foldable on the front display is perfect. You can still use it one-handed, which is very important, and it's not quite big enough to make that redundant. However, there has to be a concession, doesn't there, when it comes to thin devices. There has to be something which isn't as big as you want it to be. And for a lot of people with the Fold 7, that's the battery. So let's talk about that straight away. The battery is the same 4,400 milliamp hour unit that's in the Fold 6, basically. Same charging specs, so 25 watt wired and 15 watt wireless. Now, despite this, Samsung is saying that the Fold 7 gets better battery life than the Fold 6. And the reason for that is because of the improvements in Android 16 and One UI 8. That new operating system and the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip combined are giving Samsung more efficiencies to play with, which means they can get more battery life out of it. Now, I'm not the person to talk to about battery life because I don't do proper tests, but what I will say is two things. Firstly, the standby time on the Fold 7 is ridiculous. It lasts not forever, but like most Android phones, it goes on and on and on. And equally, although I've not done a full test, like I say, I do think you can get about 2 days out of this with moderate use. I don't personally constantly use my phone. I don't game on it. I don't do anything that intense. I can just about get 2 hours out of this. In fact, let's see where we are at the moment with it, because it will by now have learned some of my usage. So at the moment it's got 88% remaining and it's telling me I've got 1 day and 9 hours left based on my usage and all that sort of stuff. That's not bad. However, the person to speak to on this is Ben from Lover of Tech. We've been too busy to link up for this video, but he has done his extreme battery test, which we'll put a link to in the description of this video. But to summarize it very quickly, and please go and watch it because Ben is just amazing. The Z Fold 7 beats the Z Fold 6 by about 20 minutes in his extreme battery test. So it is better, and Ben is the person to listen to with this. So if you're worried about the size of the battery in this, don't take that size of the battery at face value. It doesn't mean everything, and those thousands of Reddit threads that are out there already saying, oh, they've not changed the battery. Until you get these things in your hand and start using them, you cannot comment on it. And I can guarantee that most of those people haven't even touched a Fold 7. So listen to Ben, take my advice on board as well. I think the battery in this is as big as it needs to be, and it can be, and I think it delivers. Let's talk about this camera system. So last year I switched from the S24 Ultra to the Z Fold 6, and apart from that narrow front display, the other thing that bothered me was the camera, because it just wasn't as good as this. Nowhere near as good. The main camera, the ultra wide, the zoom range, it was just subpar compared to the brilliant camera in the S24 Ultra. Now clearly I wasn't alone in being frustrated by that, because one of the big things that Samsung has done with the Fold 7, and they've made a very big deal about this, is improve the camera. And what they've done basically is take the main camera from the S25 Ultra and put it on there. They've even made it, I think, a little bit thinner, so it's not quite as thick as that, which is impressive, but it's basically the same main camera as the S25 Ultra. I've taken a bunch of photos in New York and also Brooklyn, which I'm showing you now, so you can get an idea of what that camera can do. The ultra wide is very good as well. The zoom goes up to 3 times optical, and then beyond that you're into digital digital kind of AI stuff, which I'll come on to in a second. But that main camera is great. They've taken their flagship camera and they've put it into the Fold 7, and that's what it should be, because this is a very expensive phone. Very pleased with that. I have some other subjects as well, which are my puppy, who's only 9 weeks old, are constantly moving around, and if the camera can take pretty sharp images, then I'm happy. The one thing I wish they'd done as well is just take the entire camera system from the S25 Ultra and paste it onto the back of the Fold 7, because we don't have the same zoom range optically, so we don't get that 5x. The 10x isn't quite as good. You have to have really good conditions to get the best zoom out of this camera system on the Fold 7. It's just not quite as good at those longer focal lengths as the S25 Ultra. I can forgive Samsung for this time around because they've made so many changes. I just hope that on the Fold 8 we get the full fat S26 Ultra camera system, because these are still, I think, among the best cameras on the market for smartphones. Fight me in the comments if you don't agree. The other change they've made, which is very easy to look past, is this pinhole camera on the main display. On previous Folds, they've gone for an under display camera, which is about 4 megapixels. This one is 10, and because of that, we have to have the pinhole camera. Does it matter? No, it means we get much better imagery for doing, video calls and that sort of stuff. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. The camera system overall, a fantastic upgrade. I just want the next one to have the full fat flagship zoom stuff in it. That's it. That's all I ask for, because everything else is really, really good. No phone is perfect, obviously, which is why I've noted down a few things that I don't like about the Z Fold 7. The first thing is that camera zoom range, which I've talked about already. The second thing is the fact that it wobbles like that. You can fix that with a case. I don't put cases on my foldables, which means for me it's a little bit irritating, but not a deal breaker. The third thing is the fact that they've removed the S Pen support, and it doesn't bother me, but I know it will bother the S Pen massive. They're probably down there in the comments now fighting and throwing things around. If you get involved, guys, just tread with caution. I still don't care. The last thing is not specific to Samsung or the Z Fold series in general. It's just a foldables thing, and it's the fact that it's very difficult to recommend one of these devices, because you need to use it. You need to spend time with it to work out what the use case is for you and the benefits and all that sort of stuff. Thankfully, Samsung seems to recognize this, because they've introduced a 100-day trial where you get one, you keep it for 100 days, and if within that period you think it's not for me, you send it back and you get your money back, no questions asked. I think that's very smart on Samsung's behalf, because they recognize that you need to spend time with the Z Fold 7 to work out if it's for you. Top marks, I love that. And that brings me to my conclusion about the Z Fold 7. This is the best foldable I've ever used. It's the one I've been waiting for. Yes, we do need a few improvements next time, but that's always the case. And the generational leap from the 6 to the 7 is huge. I've not even spoken about performance and AI, because I don't need to. It's got the Snapdragon 8 Elite in here. It's got the best AI platform on the planet. If you combine Galaxy AI with Gemini, which is what you get on this thing, it's just the best ever, trust me. They've built a few things in as well in terms of making better use of that big display. So if you take things out of a photo, for instance, you can see the original on the left-hand side and the modified one on the right-hand side. I don't use a lot of AI, which is why I don't tend to cover it much in these reviews, but trust me, it's the best you can get. That front display is perfect. Everything about it almost is just brilliant. I may even switch. I will have a follow-up review for this in a few weeks' time, so make sure you hit that subscribe button not to miss that. I will also be reviewing the Flip 7 next week, or maybe even sooner, who knows. Again, hit that button not to miss that review. But guys, it's over to you now. I want to know in the comments what you think about the Z Fold 7. Are you buying one? Are you not buying one? Are you coming from an older Fold to this one? Get involved, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, this is the Watch 8. I know people will be asking that in the comments, so yeah, it's the brand new Galaxy Watch 8, and it's very good. All this stuff is good. Samsung. Oh, and Apple, over to you.